Okay, 6 days ago on Knees for Jesus 3, they posted a video about the anti-gay gay marriage protest going on in New York City. At the protest, there was a dude from some New York City Puerto Rican organization that was given a Spanish, translating the fucking bullshit into Spanish. And I'm not going to defend this individual or anybody else who wants to deprive any other individual of their rights. But it's led to a little disagreement with a guy on the comment section named Gray73. He's a real idiot. He said, if they can't speak English, they shouldn't be allowed to vote anyway. Got a few agreements. My Central World said good point. Grade 73 said good point. What are those illegals doing there? First thing is, Puerto Ricans by definition cannot be illegal immigrants because Puerto Rico is part of the United States. I replied, bigotry is not the answer to bigotry. And then he said, wrong. Report them back to wherever third world Christian run shithole they came from, and that's thousands less bigots to deal with. Obviously, he is unable to pinpoint the irony and the hypocrisy in his statement just as profoundly and sadly as the Puerto Rican attendance at this and Hispanic attendance, because I imagine there's probably more than just Puerto Ricans there, and he was, providing the translation for all the Spanish speakers there. So he loses on that one. Then I said, but we still have ignorant fucktards like you. All bigotry is repugnant, no matter who it is aimed at. He says it is past time American LGBT, stopped worrying about others getting their feelings hurt and stood up for themselves. I'll agree with that. Call him a homophobe, call him a bigot, call him ignorant, but don't resort to bigotry. It makes it hypocritical. The one thing the Republicans have right is getting rid of all these foreigners who don't belong here. Again, Puerto Ricans are not foreigners, and I personally think anybody belongs. I don't give a fuck where you're from. I mean, obviously you just can't try to cram all 6 billion people on the face of the planet into this country, but the quote unquote problem with immigration is drastically it's nowhere near the problem that people claim it is. The problem is that the main problem with jobs is that they get sent overseas, not that people come over here to take them, and because there's still minimum work standards here, and that's what the corporations are trying to avoid. That's something for another video. This is our country. No, going by your rationale, it's the Native Americans' country. You're obviously coming off as a nativist. Yes, it's not your country either. If they don't like American GLBTs, they can get the fuck out. If you don't like it, you can go with them. Yeah, that's real classy right there. So I reply, the GOP is a much bigger threat to LGBT rights than all the immigrants in the country combined, and why should English be the default language? Most Hispanics in New York are Puerto Ricans, which is part of the U.S. They're not even immigrants. Oh, and blah blah blah. That was not blah 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 to the to the statements defending LGBT rights, but to this whole get out of my country if you don't want it to be exactly the way I want it to be. I fucking bullshit. Let me see. Okay, because why should English be the default language? I mean, let's just step this off because he's obviously expanding this more than just New York, but to the entire country. Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah. I mean, these places were all Mexico. We stole it. They didn't allow slavery, and the American government wasn't standing for that. God damn it, they wanted slavery. And the Mexican War was not a righteous war. It was not meant to spread human rights. It was meant to spread the the devaluing and the infringement on individuals' rights. So, I mean, this guy just blatantly just doesn't have any understanding of history or even of current relations between us and in the Hispanic world. I mean, any attempt Latin America is made towards trying to achieve any form of self-sufficiency has been disturbed and upset and destroyed by the American government and American-based multinational corporations. Let's keep it. So continuing. Gray 73 at Mojo's Hybrid is me. Oh, and blah blah blah. Check out how many GLBT have been slaughtered in Puerto Rico in the last 2 years alone. Should have been more concise as to what I was referring to with the blah blah blah. Okay, he still wants to stick with GLBT, even though I've never heard that used before. But I don't really give a shit. I'm just poking fun at him. You know, I don't really know the what's been going on in Puerto Rico with that. I should look it up. But again, it's an overgeneralization, and I do not subscribe to overgeneralizations. You know, because I mean, obviously, if there's that many being slaughtered in Puerto Rico, it's Puerto Rican LGBTs that are getting slaughtered, and you know, you can't. The enemy is bigotry. It is not Puerto Ricans. It is not Hispanics. The enemy is bigotry. It is hatred. It is ignorance. Not fucking Puerto Ricans or Hispanics or blacks or whites or gays or straights or anybody fucking else. It's ignorance. It is the ignorance that exists in every human to a certain extent, but and this we're talking about bigotry, and he's part of the problem. Okay, I am not excusing that, but there are Puerto Rican LGBTs and PRs who are in no way homophobic. Shouldn't make broad overgeneralizations. The enemy is ignorance, bigotry, hatred, and intolerance, not Hispanics or gays or any other ethnicity, gender, sexuality, etc. The blah 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 was at the end of Mock that stupid ass. If you don't like it, you can go with them bullshit. You're starting to sound like a fucking Republican. Which he replies in, why weren't all those GLBT Puerto Ricans in New York counter protesting? Were they too afraid of being killed by these third worlders because they are violent religious freaks? And you can see all of a sudden the GOP likes brown people and they want to take away people's rights. Yeah, it's exactly the type we need to be importing. Okay, first off, they didn't pan over to the counter demonstration because the point of the video was the anti-gay demonstration. I am quite certain that there was at least some Puerto Ricans in the counter demonstration. The demographics of New York City pretty much demand it. It would be a statistical anomaly for there to have been none. And even one, to me, is more than enough to say that we shouldn't condemn all fucking Puerto Ricans because there's at least one. It's the mentality where that's got to be our enemy, not a demographic group of people. Okay, and again, we're not importing them. Puerto Rico's part of the United States. What the fuck? Then I am not agreeing with their bigotry. I am arguing against yours. And stop calling Puerto Ricans foreigners and third worlders, you fucking idiot. Puerto Ricans are by birth U.S. citizens, you fucking moron. This convo is over. It is a waste of time. Okay, I guess by making this video I sort of contradicted that, but fuck it. I wanted to make a video about this. Okay, so he replies, yes, you are agreeing with them. You jumped right in to defend them. You made it clear where your loyalties are, and Puerto Ricans will never be real Americans until they vote to be real Americans. Since they've never done that, and since they lean heavily toward the murdering religious side, they can stay in Puerto Rico and out of American GLBT business. They really... what? I'm not aware. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. America has pretty much said, well, you can't be a country, you can't be a state, you know, you have to stay in the political equivalent of purgatory. And, you know, and again, you know, this just makes me think of a statement that Bill Maher made in Religious. You know, lack of faith is a luxury. You know, I mean, maybe not every, you know, because my life is fucking crazy as shit. And I have no faith, but I understand that when your legs get kicked out from under you, when your political and social and economic legs get kicked out from under you, sometimes you want a crutch, and sometimes religion, and sometimes it's drugs. They can provide the fucking crutch. And I'm not saying that to defend when that crutch turns into manifests itself in other ways such as bigotry. But I'm not. There are sociological reasons as to why certain demographic groups rely on religion more heavily than other demographic groups. But I mean, and this is not an isolated thing. It's not just Grade 73. I mean, I've been on sites and making comments on videos condemning the atrocities committed by Israel in the occupied territories, and instead of approaching on a humanistic basis, I mean, especially those ones are the worst, because you got like half the motherfuckers in there talking about, yeah, Hitler should have killed them all or some other bullshit like that. I mean, this is a pervasive mentality where people think that they're ridiculously ignorant, narrow-minded bigotry is somehow superior to the bigotry of another human being. It's just insane. Bigotry is bigotry is bigotry. It is a tool and the refuge of the idiot and the coward. I don't know. That's all I gotta say. I hope you agree with me.